Hi, Mr. Estrada here, and our learning target for this video is I can add and subtract fractions with variables. So here's our first example. It says perform the operation. And here we are being asked to subtract two fractions, one of which has a variable raised to an exponent. So just like with fractions without variables, we need to create a common denominator. So let's begin by creating that common denominator. You've got to create a common denominator. Now, here's what we know. We know that the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. Lowest common multiple. And this is something I went over in my first video with fractions, by the way. Lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So I know that I need to multiply this by 3. And I need to multiply this by 3 so I can get this to be a 6. And I need to multiply this by 2 so I can get that denominator to have a 6. So when I work that out, I get 3 over 6x squared, then minus 2 over 6. So they both have that 6 in the denominator. But this one has an x squared. So what does one need that the other has? Well, this one needs an x squared. This one has an x squared, so I need to multiply now. Now I got to multiply again. This time, though, I need to multiply this by x squared, and I need to do the same thing on the top. Doing that will give me the same denominator. So now I'll have 3 over 6x squared, so I don't need to multiply this one because it already had the x squared. And then minus, and I'm going to get 2x squared here over 6x squared. Now I have a common denominator. So now I can't combine 3 and 2x squared because they're not like terms, so I have to keep them separate. So I get 3 minus 2x squared over 6x squared. So the denominator stays the same. And this is my answer. Let's try another one. So again, you have to create a common denominator. So I can multiply this by 4 to get that 20. So when I multiply that by 4 and that by 4, I'll get 24 over 20x to the third. And then here I'm just going to write that fraction over. I'm just going to have x over 20. All right, now, what does one need that the other has? Well, this one needs an x to the third. This one has an x to the third. So I need to multiply this by x to the third, and I'll have to do the same on the top. Now I'll have the same denominator. So doing that, I get 24 over 20x to the third plus x to the fourth. Remember, x to the 1 multiplied by x to the third is x to the fourth over 20x to the third. You can't combine these two terms on the top because they are not like terms, so you're going to keep them separate. So you get 24 plus x to the fourth over 20x to the third. That's the final answer. Let's try one more. It says perform the operation. So this time, though, I have to turn the whole number into a fraction. So I have to turn this into a fraction, and I could just do that by putting it over 1. Okay, now I have to create a common denominator. Now, how could I get this to be 4x to the third? That's easy. Anything multiplied by 1 is itself, so I just have to multiply this by 4x to the third, and I have to do the same on the top. So this will give me 3 over 4x to the third minus 4x to the third here, and 4x to the third here. So I get 3 minus 4x to the third over 4x to the third. Okay, here are some guidelines to help you with these problems. All right, I hope this video helps. Take care.